guys, welcome back to Cernys Kids. We're going to do a virtual road trip to North Carolina today. And this is our daddy.
Colin.
The daddy.
The daddy.
Well, this is my first video, so to all that don't know, my name is Colin, and I'm the father to these two wonderful kids of Cernys Journeys. And the reason I'm doing the video today is we're going to be going to a state that's near and dear to my heart, which is North Carolina. And North Carolina became a state on the 21st of November in the year 1789, and it was the 12th state to do so. The capital is Raleigh, and North Carolina borders Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia, and South Carolina. And the largest city in North Carolina is Charlotte. And Charlotte, if you didn't know, is actually the largest banking center in the United States after New York City. So it is called the Wall Street of the South, if you didn't know. There's also the Piedmont part of North Carolina, which is the three cities of Greensboro, Winston-Salem, which is known for its tobacco manufacturing. You have High Point, which is known as the furniture capital of the world. And then you have Greensboro. And then also you have Raleigh, North Carolina, or in better terms, the Research Triangle. And it's anchored by three major universities. You have North Carolina State University, you have North Carolina State University, and you have Duke University, UNC Chapel Hill. These universities are in the cities of Raleigh, Durham, and the town of Chapel Hill. And this isn't to be confused with the Piedmont Triad, okay? And one cool thing about North Carolina is it is home to 12 national parks. Those parks consist of the Appalachian National Scenic Trail. You have the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is America's longest lineal park. You have Cape Hatteras National Seashore. You have Carl Sandburg Home National Historic Site, Fort Raleigh National Historic Site, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. You have Guilford Courthouse National Military Park. You have Moores Creek National Battlefield, the Overmountain Victory National Historic Trail, the Trail of Tears National Historic Trail, and the Wright Brothers National Memorial. And I'm going to cap on a few of those as we get further into our road trip here. And I also wanted to talk about the 4 national forests that North Carolina has. They consist of 5,700 streams. So you think of a stream, what do you guys think of when you think of a stream?
Water. Yeah.
Water?
Like
rocks flowing?
Rocks like speeding up, like...
You hear the sound of the water trickling?
Yeah, it's just speeding.
Making a nice sound to listen to?
Yeah.
You have little fish swimming around, right? Yeah. Yeah. So there's 5,700 streams. That appears to be a lot. And then there's 38,000 acres of lakes in these national forests. You have the Croatan National Forest, which is 159,000 acres. You have the Nantahala Forest, which is 531,000 acres. The Pisgah, which is 512,000 acres. And the Uwharrie, which is 50,645. That's almost 1.2 million acres of national forest. Pretty mind-blowing, right? That's a lot of space. We have a half-acre yard. So think about that in retrospect as to how much land 1.2 million acres is.
Oh my gosh, that's like over at least...
It's a lot.
Like over 400 of our neighborhoods.
About 400 of our neighborhoods at least. So You know, it's hard to touch base on when you're talking about North Carolina and you start talking about the national forests and the national parks. There's a lot to be talked about. So I'm just going to touch base on a few that I know really well, that I know are beautiful and be very fun to go travel. One of my favorite things to do is to get onto the Blue Ridge Parkway. Okay, and the Blue Ridge Parkway, it's hard not to also not talk about Virginia, but it starts in Virginia and ends in North Carolina. So we're going to start with the North Carolina side of the Blue Ridge Parkway. And in North Carolina, there's 252 miles of the Blue Ridge Parkway that run through North Carolina. The few of the highlights of the Blue Ridge Parkway on the North Carolina side is the Lynn Cove Viaduct. This bridge-like structure runs right alongside of Grandfather Mountain, which is a very popular tourist destination near Boone, North Carolina. And Grandfather Mountain is known for its mile-high swinging bridge. So there's a bridge that runs from one side of a mountaintop to the other side of the mountaintop. It's usually pretty windy. Very fun to traverse this bridge. Does that seem like it'd be a lot of fun, guys?
Yeah, it actually did.
Yeah.
It does.
Very beautiful place. And then you kind of go a little bit further down, you're going to get into Linville Falls recreation area. And this is a really cool place. There's many lookouts that provide views of the Linville Falls and also the Linville Gorge. And this is home to both Table Rock and Wiseman's View. And in my youth, I used to frequently camp this area. And one of the things that was elusive that a lot of you would would go out to try to see are the Brown Mountain Lights. And actually, there's a lot of story behind the Brown Mountains lights, but they're supposed to be ghost lights, right?
Oh, God.
Does that sound like it'd be fun, like something you'd want to do in the dark while camping out?
It sounds creepy.
It sounds creepy?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not really that creepy. It's actually kind of fun, and my friends and I had a lot of fun looking for these Brown Mountain lights.
It sounds creepy, scary, but it's not creepy.
It's really not creepy. Maybe one time we'll get to do it. And then next you have Mount Mitchell, and this is the highest point east of the Mississippi. So it's the highest mountain on the east coast. You have the Mississippi River, which we talked about, that runs, next to Illinois, Missouri, Arkansas, and gets out at Louisiana. So everything east of that, Mount Mitchell is the highest point on east of the Mississippi. Pretty cool, right? And then the Blue Ridge Parkway ends in the Great Smoky Mountain National Parks. And I'm not going to talk too much about that because there's so much more to talk about. I'll talk more about the Smoky Mountains when we get into Tennessee. But next you have the Outer Banks. And the Outer Banks of North Carolina are actually super neat and are also known as OBX. You might see the bumper stickers on people's cars, OBX, Outer Banks. It's actually a 200-mile long stretch of barrier islands. The Outer Banks are known for their wide, expansive, and open beachfront. So a lot of homes, a lot of beachfront bars, restaurants. People go and fly kites. It's a whole experience just in itself to go and kind of travel up and down the Outer Banks. But I think the one thing most people do when they go to the Outer Banks is they go and they frequent the 6 lighthouses along the coast. It's actually kind of fun, and it kind of gives you a stopping point between here and there. But there's the Currituck Beach Lighthouse, there's the Roanoke Marshes Lighthouse, there's the Body Island Lighthouse, there's the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, and this lighthouse is cool because it's 210 feet tall, and it's made of bricks. So that makes it the first ranking lighthouse, tallest lighthouse in the United States, and also the second in the world. So it's 210 feet made of bricks. And it's
made of bricks.
The second tallest in the whole world.
How much bricks do we have?
That's a lot of bricks. And then you have the Ocracoke Island Lighthouse, the Cape Lookout Lighthouse, and also one thing Outer Banks is known for is Kill Devil Hills. And if you know anything about the Wright brothers and the first flight, this is where the Wright brothers actually had their first controlled powered airplane flight. So that's pretty wild to think about, right? You have the Wright brothers, two brothers, made an airplane. They took it to the top of Kill Devil Hills, and they flew across Kill Devil Hills.
That's actually really
Kill Devil Hills is actually a big sand dune, just kind of like the dunes near our house, but it's in North Carolina. And this is home of the Wright Brothers National Memorial commemorative site. So it's pretty cool when you go there. Kitty Hawk is right near there. There's a whole bunch of different things you could do there. But probably one of the more famous stops when you're traveling and visiting the Outer Banks. You definitely want to go check it out. But to wrap it up, there's going to be some links in the description below that are going to allow you to take some virtual field trips. I really didn't touch on these things, but you have the North Carolina Zoo, which is just great. It's in Asheboro. It's actually a pretty large zoo. They're going to have virtual road trips for the North Carolina Zoo, North Carolina Museum of History, and there's a few different aquariums: Roanoke Island Aquarium, Pine Knoll Shores Aquarium, and Fort Fisher Aquarium. And then there's some virtual tours of the Outer Banks, and then we'll include a link to visit North Carolina. And this is going to give you all the tools that you need to explore North Carolina, kind of get a better view as to what we're talking about. So what do you think? You think North Carolina is something you're going to want to do?
Yeah.
We also have a lot of relatives that live there too. G-Pa lives there, and Uncle Jake lives there too.
Yeah.
So we'll have to go check them out.
Bye, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.